Pharmacovigilance we are covering in its entirety, and which is proudly presented by Indian Pharmaceutical Association with its Industrial Pharmacy Division and in academic collaboration with Clinosol Research Private Limited. So today I'm going to give a chief guest introduction, then guest speaker introductions, then followed by Q&A and vote of thanks. These are the two people you are seeing on the screen, and off the screens also these people have worked a lot to make this possible today. We have so many industry experts right from their entry stage to the senior positions, and the academic people from different backgrounds across the country, on the country, off the country. Everyone is joining us in our YouTube live. Thank you so much for bringing such a wonderful platform where we are continuously speaking about PV in this entire week. Thank you so much, Mujib sir and Sridhar sir. Moving ahead with our chief guest introduction of the day, Dr. Ramesh sir. Ramesh sir is a principal for Vikas College of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Sujapet, and sir is a vice president in IPA, chairman for Hospital Pharmacy Division, and sir is a graduate from Kakatiya University in 1987. Sir is the first batch student of MPharm Pharmacy Practice from JSS College of Pharmacy, Mysore, recipient of the Vimta Gold Medal at MPharm, and the country's first doctorate in pharmacy practice. With a glorious career spanning over 2.5 decades as an acclaimed academician and researcher at the Department of Pharmacy Practice, JSS College of Pharmacy, Mysore, taught undergraduate and postgraduate PhD students, supervised their research works, and coordinated national and internationally funded research projects. Currently, sir is working as a principal director at Vikas College of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Telangana. Sir actively supports capacity building and training for practicing pharmacists and PharmD students. He has supervised 60 postgraduate students, 100 PharmD students, and 2 PhD students. Apart from delivering presentations at various national and international forums, he has authored 68 research publications in peer-reviewed national and international journals, 3 textbook chapters, and 1 textbook to his credit. He supervised research grants with over 50 lakh received from UGC, ACT, and ICMR. Sir is a lifetime member of the Indian Pharmaceutical Association, Indian Hospital Pharmacist Association, and Association of Pharmacy Teachers of India, APTA, and an international member of the International Pharmaceutical Federation, FIP, Pharmaceutical Society of Australia, American College of Clinical Pharmacy, and American Medical Writers Association, AMWA. Under his guidance, Taichi Innovation Private Limited, a startup company in Vijayawada, developed and marked a clinical decision support system software under the name Clinirix. On September 5, 2022, the Telangana State Pharmacy Council bestowed him the Best Teacher Award. In recent IPA elections, he was re-elected as Vice President of the Indian Pharmaceutical Association and Chairman of the Hospital Pharmacy Division, as well as elected as Vice President of Hospital Pharmacy Section, International Pharmaceutical Federation from Southeast Asian region. We are so glad and honored to have you over here, sir. I will stop my share over here, and once you complete, I'll be giving the introduction to the guest speakers of the day. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Priya, for explicit introduction of myself, and then thanks to see Dr. Priyanka. Hi, it's great to see you. And then Ms. Deepa Arora, and of course, friend Satish. Then my friend Mujib, Priya, everybody is on the board. And okay, we are really pleased to have this kind of webinar, and I am pleased to be as a chief guest to give a introductory note to start the program on pharmacovigilance, because last 3-4 days I'm on these kind of lectures. Yesterday we had a wonderful session in Kaminini Hospital because it was an inauguration day for the National Pharmacovigilance celebrations. As a part of it, I had to make a presentation. So I understood, because it is not a new subject to me. We initiated the process of this pharmacovigilance way back in 1998, if I'm not wrong, because that was the year my journey into this pharmacovigilance started with the University of South Australia, where the clinical pharmacists they landed in Mysore and they guided us how to go forward. When there was nothing, it was total scratch in India. Nothing was except few medical colleges. They were pondering on the concept and doing some work. But in 1998, we initiated the process of reporting areas as a part of our academic research. Frankly speaking, it was just academic research. But later we have realized it's an ocean. There's no, we had to do a lot of work in that particular area, but the manpower is very, very limited. The support from the funding agencies or the government is very minimum. So it was a time where we had to do a lot of exercise and then do academic research work, make publications, motivate. Finally, the government of India has analyzed and understood. And in fact, they initially identified our center at Mysore JSS Hospital as a regional reporting center. And then we had to do a lot of work in that particular area. In fact, conducting the training sessions for the stakeholders in JSS Mysore campus. We did that all kind of work. Later, we understood it is not the doctors alone can do. Then we moved our reflections to the nursing staff. The nursing staff also, we found they are very busy. Finally, we ended up with motivating our MPharm pharmacy practice students. And in 2008, when we had the PharmD program, that time we made it compulsory because they are there in the wards and the students, it's a part of their regular activity, will be in connect with the patients. So we motivated the students to talk to the patients and any suspicion they get that a patient when they are asked how they are comfortable with the medications and if the patient says something which is obnoxious and immediately capture that information and report it as ADR. Further, we trained them how to assess the causality and how to make a complete document and finally submit it to the department, which we used to share to PVPI. By then, PVPI was established, and then the information used to go to the Uppsala Monitoring Center. And the UMC itself has identified JSS as a training center, and almost two times we conducted the training program for the pharmacists or the stakeholders from the Southeast Asian region group in Mysore itself. 15 days program. Once first was it was 21 days program. Later it was 15 days program we conducted, and we have understood how important it is. So I just wanted to share few of my slides and my thoughts, which I kept it in the slides. I just wanted to share so that the participants can understand what is that I wanted to speak. Yes, so what is exactly this pharmacovigilance? Why do we all have to be there? What matters for us to watch the medication safety? Now, all of us know we always speak that every medicine is having two sides. Like, we always speak it as a double-edged sword because one side of the story it gives the efficacy and the other side of the story is the safety because the safety point is more concerned. I have wonderful example to share here. I think when we just started our journey as a clinical pharmacist and we established our department at JSS Hospital, so we also started the activity on pharmacovigilance. One patient was sent from the dermatology department to us, and in 1998, exactly the story was the patient was referred from the dermatology department to us, and he was half part of the body was totally charred. He got surprised. What made him to have this kind of the situation? Then he had shown us a prescription where a local RMP, no, that private practitioners are there, no? A local RMP had prescribed him omeprazole. Those days, omeprazole just was introduced, and he was advised him to take one TID, omeprazole 20 mg, one TID. I'm surprised because he was also prescribed one painkiller. I don't know who has guided him to prescribe that, but the patient took one dose of omeprazole. Next day, he understood, he realized that a complete half part of the body got charred. Then he went to the dermatology department. Dermatology people referred him to our department, and upon examination, we know it is toxic epidermal necrolysis. And we have explained him this is the situation, and immediately we made a prepared a note to the dermatology department what exactly it is. Because without understanding the usefulness of the medication, it is being misused, and ultimately consequences patient that individual had to develop the TEN, toxic epidermal necrolysis. Worldwide, just alone in US, to manage one ADR, to manage the ADRs which actually developed in US, there is a study which reported this. It's not me telling. $200 billion they spend to manage the ADRs. That's almost equivalent to managing the entire metabolic disorders in the country. So that means the side what is giving the benefit at the same time it is giving the risk, which is sometimes life threatening. We have recorded that kind of the events in our hospital, like cefixime induced Steven Johnson syndrome. And one lady, she was referred once again by the dermatology department to us, and she was prescribed with the gatifloxacin. After taking just one dose, next day morning, entire body she developed maculopapular rashes. Imagine what a kind of pain she might be having at that point of the time, and how much time does it take to heal, even after consulting the dermatologist, and how much money she had to spend to, I don't know how much she comes back to the normal, but to at least to come back to minimum normal, she had to spend thousands of rupees. So that's why every medicine is a double-edged sword. Never consider what is said in the advertisements. Like some advertisements are given, like mother-in-law and daughter-in-law saying to her mother-in-law that paracetamol is very safe. No drug in this world is safe. Every drug has some minimum risk, and in whom that risk is, it is shown, no one knows. That's where the pharmacovigilance comes into the picture. It is the detection, assessment, understanding, and prevention of adverse effects. It's because during the clinical trials, the number of patients we enroll and monitor them is just 3,000 for a global trial, and we don't know. Most of the patients are just with single disease, and when the product is approved and pushed into the market, and then the post-marketing experience, like where the prescription is given to the patients who are suffering from other comorbidities, and polypharmacy is already existing, and no, we don't know what kind of the drug interactions precipitating as adverse drug reactions. That's where this pharmacovigilance comes into the picture. Assess, understand, and try to come out with the solutions to overcome these adverse drug reactions. The whole purpose of this exercise, pan globe, whatever it is happening, it's only to improve the patient safety and improve the public health. Otherwise, already the disease related taxation is there. Added to that, medicine related taxations further harms the patients, and also it destroys the health related quality of life. So that's where pharmacovigilance plays a very important role, because we understood already that the concept first came into the light according to the textbooks, but as already it was like thalidomide, before the thalidomide disaster, the sulfanilamide syrup that caused 14 people death, 14 children death. And then thalidomide in 1960s, people understood drugs are not magic remedies. They do cause some harm, which is life threatening. It was a social burden. And immediately, fortunately, it was only happened in the Europe, but not US. It was because of one regulatory officer. She wanted more data and she could not get the data, stopped using the thalidomide in US. But in Australia and of course in Europe, it is being used, and they realized how like costly it was. And in Profecoxib, everybody found that it is going to make a big difference compared to all the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents. The only COX-2 inhibitor, it's very safe, but later realized it's the impact on the cardiotoxicity causing so many lives. Then it was withdrawn. So that's where the drug safety monitoring is very, very essential. Unfortunately, the situation in India or even across the globe, many countries really did not understood the value of it. Despite Uppsala Monitoring Center established long ago with only 35 countries, and later now today the membership is almost 172 countries, impacting how the information need to be shared, the agreements need to be made. Despite of that, the collection of the reports, curation of the reports, it's not really happening to the expected level. In coming to Indian scenario, I said, if in 2003, WHO has funded, because nothing was there. At that point of the time, WHO has funded 30 crore rupees. And ultimately, end of the phase, the number of reports contributed were not even 10. So 10 reports for 30 crores. Then the situation, the WHO said we can't fund. So the matter was churned in the parliament, and finally the health minister said, okay, we will fund. So they initiated the concept of the Pharmacovigilance program of India under the leadership of the CDSO. Of course, the PVPI, everyone knows it's in Ghaziabad, in IPC. And slowly they have identified the ADR monitoring centers. It was initially the regional center, peripheral centers, the nodal centers in the zonal
Ramesh
centers
sir,
and center. Everything was
yeah,
structured. Later
Ramesh
on,
sir,
AMCs were given.
we have one more speaker who has a hard stop at 6:30, sir. So if we can allocate some time for the speaker, it would be very helpful
Yep.
for us, sir. She is in US, so she's waiting for her session, sir.
Okay, done. You want me to just close this?
Another, I think 4-5 minutes is good, sir.
Fine.
Yeah,
I
no
mean, I
problem.
can delay for
We'll just take
5-10
it.
minutes.
Yeah.
No
Thank you,
problem.
Deepa.
We'll
Thank
just
you for
take it.
understanding,
6:40 is
Deepa.
also
No worries.
fine.
No worries.
Yeah,
We'll just take
6
it.
o'clock. Yeah, 6 o'clock will start, sir.
No
Yeah,
worries.
yeah,
No
that's
Thank you,
worries.
fine
sir.
now.
Thank you, Deepa.
Because
So we
it's
understood.
Dr. Ramesh is
Yeah,
giving very important history at the moment, and it's
yeah.
really
Thank you,
interesting
Deepa.
to see. And we
Thank you,
know
Deepa.
JSS has been leading in all this.
Yeah,
And
thank you,
Dr.
Deepa.
Mujib, I am in India only, but I have another
Oh,
meeting.
okay. I thought
I'm
you are in
taking
US,
this
so I
from
was
the
afraid.
car. No, I'm here
Sorry,
in
sorry.
India,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
have to
yeah.
go to another meeting. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's why.
I will see that we'll close in another 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, I can delay a little bit.
Yeah.
Dr.
Thank
Ramesh,
you.
please proceed. I didn't want to stop you.
Yeah.
Please,
Thank you.
Thank you very
it's
much.
really interesting to
No
recap all that.
worries. No worries.
Yes.
We'll just go on. So we have initiated the concept with the clinical pharmacists and made it mandatory. Motivated our doctors, keeping the posters, keeping the labels, and sometimes those days it's all only simple messages, text messages. We used to post them, and then our students used to participate in the rounds and capture these ADR informations, and at the department we used to create and submit it to the PVPI. So we not only did at that time for the doctors and the nurses, I realized the importance, the problem actually who faces is the patient. Doctors always have a challenge, like, when you want to report, there may be a finger at them. Oh, this is the drug which you have prescribed. That's the reason it has. It has nothing to do with his prescription or nothing to do with his prescribing habit. It is all because of the drug. So they did not realize that. We try to explain to them. Then finally we realize it is the patient who suffers. So I took up the challenge, and since in our hospital we have OPD centers, so in OPD we kept our PharmD students and we motivated the students to counsel the patient, capture the information, educate the patients, and we also guided them in case if the patient experiences any unpleasant effect to report back. So the student used to follow, and in that we got a humpty number of reports stating that yeah, every patient is having some other problem. That we captured as a report, but later assessment it is a different issue. So that's how we have created, and we have also understood more patients are there in the community setting. So I started my activity as a continuing professional development program for the community pharmacists. So I went to the accountant department and took the owner pharmacists, because most of the we all of us know that most of the pharmacies in India are monitored or managed by the private people, not pharmacists, non-pharmacists. So who are all the pharmacists actually having the pharmacy? There I went to them, explained the situation, requested them wanted to take part. Initially of 100 people I spoke, only 20 people came forward. I said, fine, let us start somewhere activity. We started the journey. And to my surprise, in 3 months, they have generated almost 100 reports. It was a great success to me, because in fact, they feel that, oh, talking to patients is a big challenge, and collecting this kind of information is another challenge. Despite of all that, when the proper motivation was given, really they have given a marvelous results, and which was presented in one of the conference, and it came as a best research paper award, and also published in a international journal. The challenge is, all of us know, underreporting. That to be curbed. How do we can curb, motivate everybody, including patients? Only then this challenge will go off. Connect the patients with the pharmacists, because they are the people who dispense the medicines to them. Connect the patients with the doctors. Ask them to explain, this is the challenge I am facing. Most of the times I understood, I realized doctors will say, okay, you are having this problem with the medication. Stop the medication. Is it happened because of the medication or any other reason? It is the necessary thing the doctor has to look in, or at least convey the message to the people who are taking that as a charge. That is not happening. So we always used to do lot of bedside monitoring, dose adjustments, counseling, and empowering the patients. So in that way, our journey went on. Even today, we are having the challenges like underreporting. This is the biggest challenge. In our hospitals, no doctor dares to report. They say, no, 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 we have our own limitations. Our hospital does not permit to do all those things. Let them understand it is not because of the prescribing practices, it's because of the drug itself. The kinetic and dynamics of the drug in individual patients always different. We don't know. So that's where we have to motivate them, understand it is in the interest of the public, not in the interest of any hospital. Motivate all the pharmacists, hospital pharmacists especially. My journey is on. I am trying to do it, but still, why we have to take that risk. This kind of attitude is still there in the minds of the people. That mindset need to be changed. And we don't have the data integration. That is another challenge most of the hospitals face. That's why they don't take. Now, AI and big data, it is going to play a huge role in the signal detection. It's my favorite subject. Signal detection. It's just understanding one cue. We have reported rare reactions because of this, and I motivated patients to report. So we have got a lot of the reports from that, and need to be explained about the concept of the pharmacogenomics and precision medicine to the doctors. These things, if we do, definitely it is we are going to make a big difference because of using the electronic health records and mobile-based ADR reporting tools. Even recently, there was a conference in IPC on material vigilance. They have developed a mobile-based reporting forms. A lot of scope is there. Like material vigilance is one big area. Hemovigilance already we have reported. Immunovigilance and vaccine safety monitoring through EFI. What matters is public-private partnership. The data sharing agreements need to be robust. If we can do it using the platforms, having the cloud-based technology, everybody can integrate, come out with very good systems to report and capture the information, send it to PVPI, to UMC. It is going to happen. For that, need to strengthen on training and continuous professional development. This can be done. We can definitely motivate young professionals to report. Already in PharmD, the PV curricula is there. They are motivated. We give them intensive training. So, what is the vision for the future is zero preventable ADR related deaths, safe use of medicines, and collaboration from all stakeholders so that we can definitely make our lives wonderful with all our efforts, and we can capture each and every ADR. But everybody need to be proactive in doing this work. If we can do it, then we can achieve the best excellent results in this. So thank you very much, Mujib, for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts with all my professional colleagues and the budding professionals who are all there in the video or live, that YouTube live, who are there. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ravish. I have a question for you. Is it fine to ask now?
Definitely.
Yeah, you mentioned doctors are hesitate to report. Being a physician myself, I understand doctor is the face for the patient, be it drug, be it something related to the hospital. So they are the ones who are in direct contact with the patients. So their hesitation, is understood. So have you done anything around that? How doctors can be protected? Because we have seen so many instances of violence against doctors when they have been doing really hard work. There may be some gray sheep. I'm not talking about those, but most of the physicians we know they do really hard work to for taking good care of their patients. This is where we reach after such a hard work, right? Starting from our school days until later on. So what kind of efforts is government or PVPI taking to protect doctors? That's the question
Yeah.
that I have.
Thank you, Ms. Deepa. It's a good question because we had a wonderful experience with working with our own doctors at JSS Hospital. That taught me so many lessons. Yeah. What we used to do is, no, we don't want to, as you said, mainly because people may reflect negatively when a doctor reports or something. Like, yeah, I understand that. So that's why we never want, because initially we motivated them when we understood their limitation. We used to connect our PharmD student or our inform pharmacy practice student to capture the information and then convince the doctor and the patient. So what happens here, the patient, when he convinced, it is not because of the medicine, not because of the doctor, it is because of the medicine. This can cause 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000, 1 in 1 lakh. We don't know in whom it, what, how it behaves. So that's where, the patient used to satisfy, and obviously no negative reaction on the doctor, and doctor also used to be very comfortable. So what we used to tell is, we want to be bridge between you and your patient. Don't feel bad. Now, as a clinical pharmacist, what I used to do is, I used to work in the neurology department. My neurologist friend always says, you take care of the counseling part and the monitoring all areas. I will take care of only prescribing part. So fine.
Yes.
So there, every patient we used to guide on medications and just give a cue, be comfortable with the medication. By any chance, if you are having anything, here is our phone number or our people will call. So in that way, we used to collect the information and we used to pass on the information to my doctor friend. And the doctor also will feel very happy. Okay, this is what happened. We have collected in this way almost 200 areas, and we published in Neurology Asia as a very good manuscript. It was accepted, and they said, yes, this is this kind of the data we require. So we have brought doctor also into the picture, patients also into the picture. We worked as a like a interface between them and collected what we need to collect and projected to the PVPA. So we did not made the doctor to be harmed anywhere. And even our like at JSS, we had that liberty of management supporting us, and even publication point of view when it comes. Most of the hospitals, their ethical committee says, no, 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 don't publish, don't give these reports because it may reflect the name of the hospital badly. But our management and our hospital administration was very open, says you publish. And the ethical committee was very friendly and used to say only any modification in the methodology they used to suggest, but they used to say go ahead. So in that way, we had published so many papers. From, if you just Google it, you will get a lot of papers from the
Yeah, we know
JSS on
JSS
area.
has been leading in the awareness around PV, and we
Yeah,
really
yeah,
appreciate
we
that.
did it.
Yes.
We did it not only in the pharmacovigilance. We have supported our clinicians in medicine based prescription. That prescribing practices, we have come out with our own therapeutic guidelines. So that was the way we have supported our clinicians.
That's
But the
good.
challenge here is, yeah, it was only JSS. But what about other hospitals and other institutions doing it? Because that support is needed, that
Yes,
openness is
that
needed.
ecosystem is not there in most of the.
Not there. That is the challenge I'm facing. I wanted to build up that kind of the ecosystem in India. I'm trying my level best. In most of the hospitals, they don't have the clinical pharmacists. If that system is developed, yeah, we can definitely make a big difference. I have my own like way forward. I'm working on it very seriously.
Okay, we'll be happy to learn more about that some other time then. That would
Thank
be
you.
great.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Hope you got my answer satisfied to you.
Yeah, I got answer, but it is not satisfactory from a point of view of
Probably we'll have to discuss more in
pharmacovigilance
depth.
or
Then we can connect
physicians.
some other time. We will spend
No,
some time
I'm
in
saying
discussing.
it's not that it has been resolved. We know the problem still exists. Maybe
Yeah.
one institute has tackled it. That way, it is not satisfactory. I mean, you have done a good work. Uh, I'm not, negating that. But overall, the situation is not satisfactory. That's what I was trying to
Yes.
say. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Deepak.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Your work is well known, and that's the reason you have been in the International uh, Federation of Pharmaceuticals as a vice president. And hearty congratulations for you appointing
Thank
us.
you. Thank you very much. It's the latest news. Even
Yeah,
something.
latest yesterday's
Congratulations.
news.
That's very nice.
So from India, it is
Thank you.
first person who has been nominated
Yeah.
globally.
I think the first
The-
Indian to go into that level at the moment.
Yes,
Wow,
yes.
very nice.
It's
Congratulations.
a great
Thank you. Thank
fortunate
you
to have
very
you
much.
here,
Round
sir.
applause for Dr. Ramesh.
Thank you.
Yes.
A well-deserved
you.
recognition,
But
Ramesh sir. Congratulations
it's
to you.
not me getting a recognition. My vision is always like, give the best to the society. So I wanted to integrate with the international members and what best we can bring it to our country. That is what I'm focusing on. Seriously, I'm focusing, because that's what I expressed with my colleagues in recently held our webinar, that Zoom meeting. I expressed this. Then they assured me that they'll give the best support to give the best practices to be used in India. Hoping so. Yeah, because my term is 4 years. Just got the information. We'll go on.
Okay.
And I need everybody's support. It is not me alone can do anything. I need everybody's support.
There from the industry side. And yeah, in addition to this, Dr. Ramesh, as you are aware, like wherever we have given for this educational training on PV or clinical, always you are there. Mostly, most of the seminars and conferences, and your inputs, your thoughts on how to develop in India and how to educate others also. Awareness of this PV and the reporting of failures is quite a huge challenge, but you have taken it and you have already started doing many things you have done. And what I remember from our last discussion is like you are going to have this PV topic in the syllabus for the medical students in the medical colleges and the maybe
yesterday we had a wonderful discussion in the Kamineni Institute of Medical Sciences or hospital in Dharkar. It's a teaching hospital. And the director, he was very much pleased. He said, excellent, because we understood, we are sharing, that's all.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a good point actually you guys brought to to include this in the syllabus so that people can take it very seriously, and students who are going to be the future nurse or healthcare professional or anything related to healthcare, so they will be aware of this importance and the training what you are giving to the physicians in the different hospitals. Yes, it's not about the creating any threatening situation for the medical professional, but it's like we need their also help to doing the medical review, giving their medical comments on the assessments. So is it really the drug is causing the adverse events, or is there something else where patients should be taken care of? Like what they are doing by themselves. It's not only always the drug which is causing the adverse event. It's also the patient's activities, what they are doing. So this kind of gap, maybe the medical professional only can help us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And it's a great honor to all have you here. And in the best interest of the time, because we have Dr. Deepa Arora also, and we need to listen because of her vast experience, because they are pioneers of the PV in India. So with your 30 years of experience, we will listen to her, and we will have more time so that we can further discuss on the patient safety related things, Dr. Ramesh and Dr. Priyanka. Thank you. So Uma or Mujib, please help us to listen from Dr. Deepa, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ramesh sir, for the wonderful talk. And definitely, as the time is flying by, we have to move ahead. Definitely, we'll connect back one more time so that we can bring in more initiatives.
Please stay connected so that once Dr. Deepa is here, we will discuss.
Yeah, we are moving ahead with the next part. Ramesh sir, if you would like to stay with us, you're welcome to stay with us. Yeah. So the next speaker of the day is Dr. Deepa Arora, who is a CEO for Clinosol Life Sciences Private Limited, India, and Clinosol Inc. USA. Dr. Deepa Arora is a physician with over 2 decades of leadership experience in the pharmaceutical industry and clinical research. She currently serves as the CEO of Clinosol and is also associated as executive committee member with several biotech and a private equity as well. Her expertise spans clinical development, medical research, drug safety, and pharmacovigilance with a proven track record of leading global clinical trials. She has successfully developed and executed clinical strategies for NCEs, biosimilars, vaccines, complex generics, and repurposed drugs, while also setting up and heading drug safety departments for products in clinical development and marketed portfolios. Dr. Arora has extensive regulatory engagement experience, having interacted with agencies including the US FDA, EMA, CHMP, PRAC, MHRA, MEB, Health Canada, WHO, and TGA. She has represented organizations in scientific advice discussions, pre-IND meetings, end-of-phase meetings, and regulatory consultations on post-marketing commitments, pediatric investigation plans, and phase 4 studies. Previously, Dr. Arora held senior leadership roles with leading pharmaceutical companies including Lupin, Wockhardt, and Reliance. We are very honored to have you over here, Dr. Deepa. Without much delay, I'm handing it to you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity and this invite. It's a pleasure to be here with Dr. Ramesh, Dr. Sridhar, and Dr. Priyanka, and of course, Clinosol team. So, what I thought, we talk a lot about post-marketing pharmacovigilance, but my session is more on prior to marketing. So basically, there is a huge difference between post-marketing and pre-marketing safety data. So the kind of challenge that Dr. Ramesh was mentioning, that doctors have, and it's a voluntary post-marketing reporting, is a voluntary reporting, whereas prior to marketing, when we have products in clinical development, the reporting is mandatory, like how the reporting is mandatory for sponsors after marketing as well. So for investigators, it's a mandatory reporting. They have to report SAEs, AEs as well. And there are timelines, stringent timelines, which they have to abide by. So it becomes very important. We have a very clean data. We know what conmeds they were taking, what kind of history they had, patient history, and we know that about the disease, its stage exactly. So this helps us, in a very easy signal detection becomes very easy. So we see a lot of index cases in during clinical development. Index means, one case based on which you can do the signal detection. The data is so clear, so clean, that you can immediately correlate. There is a temporal relationship, there is a very clear causality, and there is no other, you know, uh, no other potential cause for the causality for that AE. So it becomes an ADR with any other thing except for the drug. So that's why it becomes very important that during clinical development, we very properly do the safety monitoring. And my topic is on that, and my basically how we do risk mitigation during clinical development. Because when we in a post marketing stage, when we are dealing with the, a drug, when we are a drug is prescribed, it would have been already, we have experience with more than sometimes 1500, sometimes even 3000 or 5000 patients during clinical development. And then, of course, we are not looking at early, immediately after the approval, for after the first approval. So once it has been marketed, it would have been prescribed to a few millions of patients before we come across new safety issues, like SJS-10 is an extreme, but there are other, so many other AEs that happen, areas that happen, which include like liver associated disorders, renal failures, or muscle, like rhabdomyolysis, etc. Which are these all these things are caused by very common drugs which are being prescribed on a day-to-day basis, especially the for the chronic diseases. So uh, it needs to be a lot of focus on during the clinical development on safety, so that we can immediately identify the safety signals which we know will not be acceptable for the drug. For example, when we were talking about rofecoxib and its cardiovascular uh, adverse events, so the incidence is very low here of the cardiac disorders that it causes. But you cannot accept that for a painkiller, versus we have other drugs, where, for example, anti-cancer drugs, where cardiotoxicity is very common, but still those drugs are in the market, they are being prescribed, because in those conditions where they are treating a life-threatening disorder, those AEs are acceptable, because some patients will still be saved, and of course AEs don't happen in all the patients. So with this background, I'll start my presentation. uh, so I hope you can see my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So the topic that I selected is ensuring safety of investigational drugs, risk management planning in clinical development. So as I was mentioning, that in the clinical development, when we don't know much about the drugs, the risk management planning is very important because of several reasons. Most important is the patient safety. So we will tackle how all these we will discuss in the next slides. So the agenda for the topic is importance of risk management planning during clinical development. Who are the stakeholders involved in risk management during clinical development? What are the steps for risk management during clinical development? Basic compliance with safety monitoring during clinical development, and how is it different from post-marketing surveillance, and some of the case studies. So basically, here uh, we have heard a lot about risk management plans for the marketed products, and India, because India leads in the PV operations, most of the large pharma have outsourced their PV operations to BPOs or large CROs in India, and they have their teams. Even large CROs who are not Indian, they have their teams based out of India doing the PV operations work. So I can easily say very confidently that most of the risk management plans are being developed from India only, but these are for marketed drugs. Because in India we are not much involved in the innovative drugs, there is less experience in with the risk management planning during clinical development, and that is the another reason that I thought of picking this topic, so that share my experience and what learnings we had while working on the innovative products. So, uh, as I was mentioning, it is important to have a very good risk management planning during clinical development because we want to ensure the safety of the trial participants. So, as we know, the goal of a physician is to first do no harm. So, when we are proposing a potential trial participant about participating in a clinical trial and explaining them the investigator's brochure or the A's that are listed in the informed consent, we have to also look at how to minimize the risks, potential adverse events of the drug in those trial participants. That's why you might be seeing, you might have noticed there are so many contraindications. We in all package inserts we have, like, patients with LFT, RFT, or should either reduce the dose of the drug should be reduced, or they should not be taking that. What is its impact in the elderly, in children, or in pregnant women, or what impact it has uh, on the driving and all those, and what kind of food drug interactions can be there. So whatever information we have at that time, we include in the protocol. We also have, for the safety of the trial participants, a very clearly defined eligibility criteria, which is done, number one, with two purposes. One, to have a very clean set of subgroup of patients where the drug can be administered. So it needs a lot of thorough understanding of the medical background behind the disease. And second is, we also need to understand what are the potential contraindications of the drug. So we always put them uh, in the exclusion criteria, or where we don't have information, for example, how a new drug is going to, which is still, it's not a drug actually, technically it's an investigational product, is going to behave in the patients with compromised renal function or liver function. We always exclude them in the early stage clinical trials, and then we have very specifically defined clinical pharmacology studies for these subgroup of patients. Second, uh, key thing is early identification of safety issues and risks. So if we are able to identify safety issues and risks at an early stage, we can always amend the protocol to exclude those patients. Or if it is really such a serious issue that we think it has a negative impact on the benefit risk balance, we can even terminate the clinical trial or clinical development program itself. And of course, to ensure regulatory compliance, which is important. But the we regulators also, we get a lot of supports from regulators, some when they are well aware of the risk management plan, what efforts we are taking to minimize the risks of the drugs. So stakeholders are: sponsor is responsible for safety monitoring at risk management. Sponsors delegate the responsibilities to CROs who are managing the trials, and there are safety management teams, and there are independent DSMBs or data monitoring committees, as it's known in the US, that that independently review the data and take a decision on for sponsor, and also something which is reportable and understood by the mm, by the by the regulators, that the DSMBs will take an independent decision whether the patients can be further dosed in the for the drug, whether we can increase the dose. For example, when we are doing early stage phase 1 SAD and MAD studies, at that time, single ascending dose and multiple ascending dose studies, we have DSMB meetings at the end of each cohort to confirm that patients for can be dosed in the next cohort, and the treatment remains the safe for at a higher dose also, as much as we can assess based on the available data. Then investigators are of course responsible for ensuring the safety of the trial participants, that they are responsible by and they deliver this by early identification of any safety issues and medical management of trial participants when they have any adverse events or SAEs. Um, and then, of course, ethics committee, institutional review boards, they also specifically review the protocol and the study design and eligibility criteria with respect to the patient safety. And not only they review the trial and ethics committees at the start of the trial, but they are also responsible for ongoing trial review. During when trial is ongoing, they review the adverse events that are reported for the investigational products, protocol deviations, and annual reviews. Some ethics committees have very specific notifications also, which we comply with. And then the agencies or the regulatory authorities who review the trial, approve it, they are the ones who are developing regulations and guidance. They review the SAEs, they review the progress of the trial, they give general guidance, and they also monitor other related stakeholders. So when we are doing the risk management planning, basically, like in every other field, there are two steps. One is planning for risk minimization. As this RMP is developed during clinical development, we call it developmental risk management plan, and then execution of risk management plan. And as I mentioned earlier, the strategies of risk minimization include patient selection, a very well-defined eligibility criteria, study design, the conmeds that are allowed, rescue medications that can be given, and the laboratory testings that we do for early identification of the adverse events. And now, what are the basic principles of safety monitoring? All adverse events should be documented. All SEs should be reported by the investigator within 24 hours to the sponsor, as well as to the IRB. In India, they are also supposed to report to CDSCO office within 24 hours, the regulatory agency. All A's should be followed until resolution. All abnormal lab values should be reviewed. Clinical significance should be evaluated. We have to ensure compliance with the regulatory requirements of submissions for initial SAE submissions, follow-up submissions. We do AOSC or analysis of similar events for SAEs to identify any signals that are emerging, and then periodic review of AEs, which we include in the DSURs or Development Safety Update reports. So, safety monitoring, how is it different from the post-marketing surveillance, safety monitoring during clinical development? So, as I mentioned in the beginning of my talk, that uh, during clinical development, it is active monitoring, whereas once the product has been considered safe, it's allowed for commercialization, its benefit risk balance is positive, then it becomes a passive surveillance, where it's a voluntary reporting by the uh, physicians. Then there is a proper reporting during clinical development versus under-reporting in the post-marketing stage. We get a complete information about the patient, about its past history, conmeds, etc., versus the partial information that we otherwise receive in the post-marketing stage. The kind of structure that PI has put in, where the ADR monitoring centers are there, which are tertiary care centers in the country. We get a lot of complete information during that episode when the patients are hospitalized. But of course, we don't have that clean data of their previous diseases in most of the instances. We get clean data versus incomplete data. Detailed causality assessment is done. We write long narratives, and versus like in post marketing, you always suspect if something is reported, it always becomes a possible. And medication errors are less likely in the during the clinical development phase, because we do a lot of training of the investigators, retraining. The moment we find some one medication error, we just do kappa, repeat the training. So a lot of intense practices go during clinical development, whereas in the post-marketing stage, medication errors, there are a lot of AEs reported because of medication errors. That incidence is also very high. And then in the early clinical development, when we get all the reports, accurate assessment of frequency is possible, accurate duration of treatment leading to adverse events is possible, because we have all the data. There is a controlled environment versus uncontrolled environment. So we usually don't, in the early stage, early phase clinical trials, we don't include comorbid patients with comorbid conditions. Conmeds are not allowed. Age groups are very well defined. Special populations are not there. Whereas in the post-marketing stage, there's an uncontrolled environment, which means a lot of patients with comorbid conditions, conmeds or senior citizens might be prescribed the drugs when they have not been duly tested. It happens especially with the pediatric population. That's why governments have made it mandatory for the companies to do a PIP or pediatric investigation plan after the launch of the drug, if the drug has only been tested in the adult patients. So that is another thing there. So we can see higher incidence of adverse events in those populations when they are more sensitive, and compliance issues are less likely. For example, drug abuse or safety monitoring, for example, for lab tests in the early phase, in all clinical trials, be it early phase or late phase, phase 3. And exposure is in less number of patients, and prompt withdrawal is visible at an early indication of safety issues. Whereas in the post marketing, it always takes some time. We always want to have more data to confirm the causality, etc. And number of patients who discontinue the treatment due to adverse events are available, so we can follow up with them and understand how the recovery, etc. easily. So there are two case studies also, which more relate to how the drugs which were launched after due testing also failed in the post marketing scenario, because of the practices were not followed. The prescribing was not followed as it was thought of in the during the clinical development phase. For example, this drug bromfenic was an acid that was approved for rheumatoid arthritis, and concerns about possible liver toxicity led to the approval of bromfenic way back in July 1997 for short-term use only, and not for chronic diseases which need repeated use for long terms, for example, osteoarthritis or rheumatoid arthritis. But this was very effective in relieving the pain in these conditions also. So it was okay. You can prescribe it for a week or something like that. But uh, it was prescribed for long term as an off-label use in arthritis patients. As a result, severe hepatotoxicity was seen, which eventually we saw some cases of hepatic failure also, including 2 cases requiring liver transplant. And please remember that this all is with the underreporting. Actual numbers would have been very large, much larger than what the data I'm showing here. So And anything that we saw severe cases, they involved use of bromphenic for more than 10 days, the maximum duration of treatment recommended in the labeling. There were stringent warnings put in, but it didn't change the situation much. So eventually it was withdrawn from the market. So this is something which a drug could have been there in the market, but because it was it couldn't continue because it wasn't taken the way it should be taken. And similarly, there is another product, similar situation, liver toxicity, how it was seen and all that. So same story here also. So how we can best do the risk minimization during clinical development. So first of all, we need to have a very, very thorough planning uh, based on the indication that we are planning, based on the patient population, and based on the information that we have about the investigational product. Whatever information we have that at stage, because we collect a lot of information during the preclinical studies also. Now with the AI, we get a lot of information based on the structural relationship also. So we have a lot of data when the drug is being dosed for the first time, or maybe once it has completed a healthy volunteer study or single ascending dose and multiple ascending dose studies. We have a lot of data at that time to understand, of course, not completely, but to a certain extent about the safety, which we based on which we plan a safety monitoring plan, which we continue to update as we get more information. Then there is a training with that we do, thorough training of the site staff, investigator. Of course, before that, CRO team is well trained, and then we ensure that regulatory compliances are followed. We typically do randomized double-blind clinical trials, which are gold standard, but there are instances where we have one-arm studies, single-arm studies also, and then ongoing we have blinded data review and at the CRO level, as well as unblinded data review by the DSMBs. So, some more uh, some more details we need to understand as the regulatory landscape is changing. Drug development costs are increasing, so it's important that we are able to identify the adverse events much earlier, preferably before even dosing humans. We should be able to evaluate based on the preclinical data whether the its benefit risk balance is going to be positive or not, and then proactive surveillance is the need of the hour, uh, and early identification of signals, and accordingly we can always amend the protocol, revise the critical clinical strategy, and introduce risk minimization measures during the clinical development as well. So that was about my presentation. Thank you so much for.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a great presentation, actually. For the clinical, we usually speak for very less, mostly post-marketing, RMP and all. This is very insightful. Thank you.
Yeah. And that's the reason I thought I should talk about
Yeah,
this
yeah,
one.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deepa ma'am. Thank you so much for your time on ensuring safety of investigational drugs and risk management planning in clinical development. Thank you so much. Next, I would like to give intro about Ms. Dr. Priyanka Das ma'am. Priyanka Das ma'am is Associate Director, Global Safety and Quality, a motivated, adaptable, and skilled pharmacovigilance influential leader with around 16 plus year of overall experience in the cross-functional pharmaceutical as well as biosimilar, CMO, and CRO industries. and also extensive expertise in setting up global PV system and PV process with the different country affiliates and contracts and agreements review and client handling and effective communication with the cross-functional departments, and also certified RP for global EU trials and licensing partners management and regular compliance monitoring, and also tracking call center activity, vendor management, vendor audit, etc. And single point of contact for India and EU, and overall managing US and ROW countries PV activities, and okay to handle CD safety management. Um, that's it, ma'am. You can
Yeah.
go ahead. This.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this brief introduction. Good evening, all. This is Dr. Priyanka, and I'll be first of all, thank you so much, Clinosol team, and all the speaker over here, and Dr. Sridhar sir, for giving this opportunity to speak over here. And I'll be just speaking very basic thing. We were talking about pharmacovigilance and what is the importance of pharmacovigilance in healthcare. And it will be very basic about what is pharmacovigilance, why it is important, and what all things we do in this. You want me to share the screen, or you are going to share the PPT?
Yes, ma'am. If you want me to share, I will share, ma'am.
No problem. I'll just share then.
Okay,
Fine.
then. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Just confirm if my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am. Your skin is visible and you are audible.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, this is a very basic introduction on what is pharmacovigilance and what we do. This is the objective of this presentation. What is the need and importance of PV, and to identify and report adverse events to specific stakeholder, how to do that, how to report this adverse event, and where to report. So pharmacovigilance definition, as per the WHO definitions, we are having our own guideline virtual definitions, whereas this pharmacovigilance is like science and activities relating to detection, assessment, and understanding of different products, including the biologic vaccines, the medicinal related problems. It's also including the medical device and veterinary products, cosmetics, nutraceuticals, and all. So whatever the products we are having, anything abnormality, whatever we have, pre-identified the risk. If it is apart from that mentioned, so this is something where we look into as a side effects or ADR, adverse drug reaction monitoring activities. Pharmacovigilance word derived from pharmacon, Greek. This is a Greek word, medicinal substance, and vigilar, that is a Latin word, which is mean by to keep watch. So all the medicinal products to keep watch means what is happening with the medicinal product after the patient has administered, or the consumer has administered any medicinal product. If there is any untoward medical occurrence where we are not sure, these are the definitions which is mentioned in the guideline, but in a very casual language, the adverse event nothing but any untoward event which has been occurred after administration of any medicinal product, and we don't know why this adverse event or why this side effect happened. Is it due to the medical product, or it's like different maybe that is concomitant medications, or patients different condition is causing? We are not sure about the causal relation. So those side effects are called as adverse event. And where we know about the causal relation, we are very much sure, okay, this product has caused the adverse event or not. We are very sure about the relationship of the side effects and the medicinal product. These are called as adverse drug reaction. This is a very basic difference. So important terminology in pharmacovigilance. So what is called as a serious adverse reaction? There are few scenarios are there where we consider the adverse event or the side effects as serious. And depending on this serious and non-serious adverse events, there are different timeline to report those side effects or adverse drug reactions to the regulatory authority. In which cases we consider the adverse events or adverse drug reactions as serious. So if the outcome of that adverse events is death, life-threatening, require hospitalization, result in persistent or significant disability, congenital anomaly, or medically important list. So there will be a medical important list in every pharmaceutical company, what they are referring if your events is falling under that list. So we will be considering those as a medically significant event, which is of course a serious event. Remaining all these criteria, these are the death. If your adverse event caused the patient's death, of course, it's very serious. Life-threatening, which caused the patients to be hospitalized or in ICU. So this is called life-threatening, where the patient's hospitalization, like patients needed to be hospitalized, or the patient is already being hospitalized, but after taking your medicine, the hospitalization duration has been prolonged. So in that case, also this is a serious event. Congenital anomaly, as you know, this is a birth defect and persistent significant disability. Other than this, all this criteria, we consider the adverse events as non-serious. Again, this non-serious and serious is having a different timeline to report to different regulatory authority. And so I'll just have a different slide for this reporting. I'll go there and will explain. This one is need and importance of PV throughout the product life cycle. Okay, so as Deepa ma'am and Ramesh already gave the introduction about this pharmacovigilance. So when we start this activity, actually it is the not only the clinical, it's a preclinical stage we do the pharmacovigilance activity. Preclinical means we do the study in the animal where we do pharmacovigilance activity for animal as well, veterinary product. uh, Veterinary product is different, and animal study where we do the side effects monitor, and then phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 clinical trials where we start testing the drugs efficacy and safety in human and then patients. So these are the different stages, and with the population's number and the patient's number, we in different stages we do the safety assessment and then efficacy assessment. We fix the dose regimen and the which patients should have those medicine, like age and criteria of giving those medicine. So these all things, and in every stage, after completing this every stage, we need to give like submit the clinical data to the regulatory authority where we want to market those products. So once we will get the regulatory approval from each stage, then only we can go to the subsequent stage. Now we can think, okay, after going this all stages, so there are 4 stages usually before going to market. So like all these stages and all this clinical data monitoring, after that also when the drug is coming to the post marketing or in market, we are having more number of side effects, although we have monitored a lot during the clinical trial. So since the clinical trial is very controlled environment and we monitor each and everything there, so it is very easy for us to control the adverse events whichever happen to the patients. But once it is open to market and over the counter products, and anyone is having any medicine, they're buying from the shop and they're having, so we don't have the control on this administering of the medicinal product in market. So that's why the adverse events are more once the product is in market, and we need to do a very stringent PV activities, pharmacovigilance activities. That's why the PMS activities are huge. There are n number of different activities are there where we need to control the adverse events of throughout the cycle of the medicinal product. So these are the few, the scenario, other safety information with or without adverse events, which is monitored and collected, includes lack of efficacy. So this is not only the serious or non-serious event will occur, and then only we will be needing to having the details of that product. If the product is causing some lack of efficacy, or the patient is become pregnant, in case of overdose, abuse of that medicinal product, if there is any drug interactions, medication error. So these are few special case scenarios where we consider these events as special case scenarios, and we need to database all these cases in our pharmacovigilance database in-house. All this scenario, if it is causing some serious event, adverse events, of course, then the case means the patient is having any kind of adverse event, even one adverse event, this is considered a case. The case will be considered as a serious, and we need to report this in our we need to database this all, even though it's serious or non-serious, in our database. So there is actually a few database for pharmacovigilance to track the all adverse event, and in those database, different activities will be conducted, like data entry. First is triage, and then data and triage is like just checking the from the sources what we are having in our informations, to check if the information has already received and already we have database in our database or not. That is called triage. After that, we will be doing the booking or the data entry, and then data review, and then medical review also will be done for the entered data of those adverse event. And at last, after different stages, we will be giving submit those events to the regulatory authority. These are the product complaints. Few of the examples of PQC, we call it such PQC. So if the product is in market, so what kind of PQC? If the product has organoleptic issues such as bad odor, appearance problem, product with an unexpected color. These are few examples where we consider as, again, as a special case scenario, like before lack of efficacy, pregnancy and all. And this is considered as always not serious. Depending on the situations, we will be considered as serious or non-serious, the PQC. Minimum criteria for reporting of adverse events says, as we we are having different sources of adverse event. Just a minute, okay. So we are having different sources of collecting the adverse events, that may be the consumer or patients or healthcare professional, or anybody can report any adverse event if it has been, like all the adverse events we can't a database and report. For database and reporting to regulatory authority, we need some minimal information about that adverse event. Let's like who is reporting the adverse event, that person name, initials, or the phone numbers, and there should be one patient, of course, like about whom that reporter is talking about, the patient's age, gender. So these are informations we need. And suspect drug, yes, it should be about like one suspect drug should be there, like which medicine has caused that adverse event, and adverse reactions or adverse, yeah, of course you should have some adverse events, that's why you are reporting. So you should have minimal one adverse event. You can have multiple adverse events also for one patient, which will be covered in one case. So these are the 4 criteria which will be considered as valid for reporting an adverse event. Okay, so once we are giving this patient information, of course, it will be the data protection laws. We need to maintain, and that should be very country specific. And we can't disclose the patient credential to in any database or any regulatory authority. These are few timelines for reporting of adverse events. So there are CDSO, US FDA, Europe timelines are there. There is a serious cases for 15 calendar days and clinical trial 14 calendar days. And within those 24 hours, we need to report for clinical trials. And US FDA 15 calendar. So these are some, as I mentioned previously, for the serious, non-serious cases, the timeline of reporting to the regulatory authorities are different. And it's also different based on the, different countries. So how this calculation will be done? So day 0 will be calculated as when we will be in the sense the manufacturer, the marketing authorization holder, MH. The MH should have like informed MH, or there any employee from the MH or any third party who is connected with that MH will be aware of any adverse event. That day will be considered as a day 0. And that MH responsibility is to report within this stipulated timeline to the regulatory authority. Okay, and these are the few guidelines which maybe considers for this PV management, PV activities, when to expedite the cases, what are the criterias of cases, and whatever I have mentioned in these slides. These are very basic and very overview of this, but this guidelines will be speaking to in very detail. And if you guys are interested, you can just go through this and you can note down this guideline for your better understanding. Okay, so yes, that's all from my side. I'm just concluding my slides over here, and it is very basic of pharmacovigilance, what we do in industry. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.
So we will see, ma'am. Anyone have any question from our style? Like any students have any participant have any questions? We will see.
Yeah, I think I'm on time to complete.
I think don't have anyone have no questions, any doubts, ma'am? So we can find up. Ramesh sir, are you there? You want to uh, s- uh, deliver any finishing note? Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for attending, for giving a time for us to give session on pharmacovigilance week. Thank you so much, Ramesh Depu sir, and thank you so much, Deepika Arora ma'am and Sridhar sir, for conducting a beautiful PVPI week. Um, we hope we'll do some more other activities like this in future. We will collaborate and do more things like this, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. The whole Clinosol team. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye bye.
We
Have
will.
a nice day.
Thank you. We will wind up.
Yeah, sure.